to Great Day Nation, special edition, special NFL preview edition. And I brought a couple of friends along, a couple of experts, if you will. Of course, everybody knows my producer, Tom Carroll, who is behind the scenes on Great Day Nation on a weekly basis. Tom, thanks for joining me. And then I have a good buddy of mine, Brian Finneran, a teammate of mine from the Falcons. And Falcons, yeah, 2 times exactly. Although 2006, unfortunately you got hurt in July and then got hurt again from it. Anyway, ACL crap and reconstructive, and it was a mess. But a product out of Villanova. And Brian, you and I have something in common.
What's that?
Twin brothers.
Oh, why did I not remember that?
You have a twin brother, Brad, who went to Villanova as well. And I have Jacob, who's in Germany right now as a diplomat. So, hey, twin brothers, you have an identical twin brother. I'm a fraternal. So I did not know that until I did a little research on you that you have that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Brad and I both grew up together in California and want to go to college together. And Villanova offered both of us scholarships. What does diplomat mean in Germany?
He runs trade. He basically, if a Danish company want to do business in Germany, they'll go through his office to facilitate contacts, permits, protocols, things like that.
All right, sounds important.
It sounds way too important for us.
So let's not talk about trade or diplomacy. Let's talk briefly, Brian. Just a little background on you. California kid, high school, had an opportunity, Oregon State, but you chose to go to Villanova with your twin brother because they offered both. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were kind of a package deal. And the looks from Oregon and Oregon State were pretty lukewarm just for me. They weren't very good football teams back there in '94. Not that made a difference. I would have gone if they offered me a scholarship and Brad, but they didn't. And then when Villanova came knocking in January of '94, we took a trip out there to Philadelphia. There was a freaking ice storm going on at the time. We went to a couple of the local establishments and had a good time and decided that was the place for us.
Awesome. And then, you have a cup of coffee in NFL Europe with the Barcelona Dragons. You're actually all NFL Europe, which is kind of cool. And then you actually, as a free agent in Seattle, that you bounce around a little bit, but you spend the majority of your time in Atlanta, and that's where you are now. You're a host at 680 The Fan. You do a great job 5 times a week, get up early in the morning and crush it down there on the radio waves. You do a great job. And so I couldn't think of a better guy, along with my producer, Tom, to bring along for this NFL preview ride. And I appreciate it very much. Appreciate your time and your takes and expertise. Let's start. And Tom, I'll get you involved here as well, since you've done a lot of the research, and I have been perusing that for the last couple of hours to actually make sense of it. There's a lot of information, let's face it.
Oh my gosh, so much.
There's so much, so much information, so many players, and they change every year. It's more than ever with free agency.
Yeah.
Different uniforms. You're used to seeing a guy in a certain uniform, and then now he's no longer there.
And then coaching changes, and you forget sometimes where some of the big free agents end up landing because it's such a free-for-all in March. And then finally all the dust settles in April and May, and then you realize, all right, mini camp's here, and that guy's over there, and that guy's a new quarterback here, and Teddy Bridgewater's over there. It's really nuts. Yeah,
J.J. Watt. I mean, I'm used to seeing him in a Houston Texans uniform. He's on the West Coast now. I mean, crazy. It's just – and it was the same. The big guy I remember, guys, and then we'll move on, was Joe Montana when he went from the Niners to Kansas City. That was very weird for me to see number 16 out of a 49ers uniform.
Yeah. Emmett Smith going to Arizona, right?
That was a bizarre one, too.
Tom Brady playing for the Buccaneers.
I was waiting for it. I was just waiting for it.
That one hurts my heart. That freaking guy can't stop winning.
Me too.
Well, who do we like? NFC. Let's start NFC East. We'll go big picture. I'll give you my quick takes on it. Pretty weak division. I mean, losing record last year won the division. So maybe it's a little better this year. The Cowboys, they have a pretty easy schedule here. And I like the boys. I talked to Jerry Jones. He's very Ezekiel Elliott, very high on him. He came back in shape. Ezekiel, Dak's back after his injury. So I do like the boys in that division. Also like the Washington football team. I think their defense, really, really, really good. And maybe Fitzmagic can do some stuff up there with the football team. Your takes on the NFC East, Brian?
I think Philadelphia is going to struggle. Jalen Hurts had a stomach bug or something the other day right before his preseason game, so he didn't even play. Joe Flacco's their backup. I think they're a team that – and the Falcons have them right out the gate week 1 at 1 o'clock on Sunday in a couple weeks, so which is a good thing I would hope for the Falcons. I think you can come away 1-0 in that game. But that's a team with Jalen Hurts going to be a starter most likely. And when Dean Pease gets a hold of a young quarterback, our new defensive coordinator, Dean Pease, here in Atlanta, I think he can do some damage there. And I just think it's a team that has lost a lot of talent in the last year or two. The Eagles, the Redskins. Here we go again. How many times are we going to do that before this thing's all said and done?
So far, you're 0 for 1, and we haven't even gone there yet.
Jeez Louise, Washington football team. That's right.
You keep scoring, Tom. Keep scoring.
That's a fine. So I think you nailed it. Fitzmagic, can he make some more magic? And then that defense is absolutely loaded. The Cowboys have a great chance to do something. And then what's the young quarterback, Daniel Jones in New York, going to do this year? So a lot of questions. Saquon Barkley coming back after his injury. So a lot of unknowns. I'd give the nod to a good defensive team in Washington. And then I think the Cowboys are really looking to do something special with the weapons on offense.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are poised to be the best team in this division because of Dak Prescott. Like, all these teams were around the same last year, right? So I'm looking at who do I feel most comfortable with at the quarterback position, and that's what's going to separate it for me just as we sit here with no games being played. Dak Prescott was on a record-setting pace before he got hurt last season. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's got Michael Gallup. He's got Amari Cooper. He's got a skinny Zeke Elliott coming back. I mean, that's an offense right there, man. And they drafted 8 defensive players to help bolster that thing, which was a problem last year. So I like Dallas to win the NFC East here.
I think my sleeper, actually, I don't know, man, is the New York Football Giants.
Oh, okay.
And here's the reason why. Jason Garrett, love him at the OC. Love him as an offensive coordinator. He's we had him on Great Dane Nation a while back. He's very high on Daniel Jones. He spoke very candidly about Daniel's learning curve and the fact that he feels like he's ready to have a breakout year. I understand you got to have a supporting cast. If you get Saquon going there, I think that frees up some stuff in the play action and some passing. They have Kenny Golladay. I like him. They added him in free agency. A really nice player. So I like the Giants to maybe sneak in there as a wild card team. I think Philadelphia, and to Brian's point, totally agree. I think they're the doormat. I mean, they're the worst team in that division. And then I'm putting the Giants ahead of the Washington football team. I know.
Interesting. I think the defense, what was funny? I was talking to our old head coach, Mike Smith, who coached here, I think from 2008 to about 2014 or 2015, and one of the winningest coach in franchise history for the most part. And he made a comment to me. We were playing golf here in Atlanta, and he's like, it's not even about stopping offenses anymore. It's just about limiting their points, because it's become such an offensive game with the rules and not being able to touch the receivers and illegal hits and everything else. It was really fun and amazing to hear him just say defenses are screwed for the most part. You just have to limit the scoring, because they're going to get down in the red zone. They're going to move the ball up and down the field. Can you be a good red zone defensive team? Defenses
have been neutered.
Yeah.
They really have. They've been declawed. I mean, I hate to, they've been pacified by rule changes
there used to
playing
be
flag football.
That's right. There used to be a fear factor. in the NFL playing wide receiver or running back or whatever. There's certain guys you worried about when you went across the middle, or even defensive ends that were nasty as hell and tried to club guys in the head.
Ronnie Lott coming over the middle.
Oh,
I mean, I'm just talking about my era. Oh,
yeah, Rodney Harrison for me. Yeah.
Rodney Harrison.
Nasty sucker, dude.
So just so we're all on the same page here, we think the Eagles are going to be the worst team in the division. I have the Cowboys winning the division.
I do too.
Morten has the Cowboys. And Brian, are you going Cowboys or Washington here?
Wow. You know what? I'll go outside the box. I'll say Washington wins it with some defense. Fitzmagic. McLaren, the receiver down there in Washington, is a really good player too. If they get a little bit of action from some guys around them, I think they can make a push for it. So I'll go with the defensive angle, even though we just talked about how defenses are screwed.
Chase Young is just a beast. I mean, he really, really is. And,
it's frustrating.
Defensive player of the year, right?
Oh, the Falcons had the 4th pick in the draft this year, and there's not one guy that looked like Chase Young in the top 5. Right? It's all quarterbacks this year. And then we end up going with Kyle Pitts, another offensive weapon from Matt Ryan. I was like, what if there was a Kyle Pitts or a Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa or one of these monster defensive ends that we've been dying to get
years. Edge rusher.
That's right.
Can't get him. We got to have an edge rusher in Atlanta. I mean, just maybe next year.
That's right.
Tom, would you intro the NFC North and set the table for us on the NFC North, please?
Absolutely. So we got the Packers coming in as the favorites. No surprise there. -164 in that spot. They won the division last year at 13-3. And breaking news: Aaron Rodgers is coming back. All offseason.
Yes. No.
Did you know that? Did you know that? Well, yeah. Funny you mentioned that because the Jeopardy spot has opened back up in recent days.
I heard Brian was auditioning for that. I'm going to stay out of it.
It's the one thing about these podcasts, because that guy, they went back years to check and tell me, I can't remember his name, Mike something or other.
I forgot it already.
He said some derogatory thing towards women on his podcast where you get kind of loose and you get freewheeling and dealing and you feel like you can say whatever. And then 10 years later, it comes back to bite him and he can't be Jeopardy host.
Got to keep that buttoned up, baby.
That's crazy.
We would never. We are. We're PG, man. PG-13
right,
here.
Good. I was about to curse.
We'll keep you safe here, Brian. You can curse, but
you can curse all you want.
You can say fuck and shit.
Okay, perfect.
But
thank you.
You're not going to lose your radio job here.
We're just going to beep you. We'll put a little Villanova icon over your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the Packers are set to win this division again because Aaron Rodgers is coming back. The dude. 48 touchdowns to 5 picks last year. Yeah, Devontae Adams is still there. Best receiver in football for my money. Aaron Jones is dynamic as they come. That defense is a top half of the league defense. And like you mentioned, Brian, Mike Smith said it best. You just got to bend and not break at this point with the way the game is played. I like the Packers in this division, and it really speaks to the rest of the division kind of being in that middle ground. I don't know where these guys stand. Are they going to take that leap? Are the Vikings going to do anything with Kirk Cousins? Probably not. Is Justin Fields going to get to play enough for the Bears to win games? I don't know.
Yes, he will.
I hope so. I hope so. So I got the Packers. Morten, who you got?
I got the Packers as the elite team of that division for sure. Aaron Rodgers, and then the weapons on offense that he has, and that mystique of home field advantage in Lambeau. There's just something about them playing at Lambeau. They win there. And one thing you got to do if you want to be a division winner, you got to win your games at home and then snag a couple on the road. And they will in that division with Chicago, Minnesota, and Detroit. Dan Campbell, new head coach in Detroit. They're shitty. Let's face it.
He's a maniac. I would.
He's awesome. I played with him.
Did you?
Great. Played with him in New York with the Giants for a year. Awesome dude.
I think I would like to play for.
Yes.
He's a freaking maniac.
Maniac, old school.
Yes.
But he doesn't take the field, Brian.
Yeah, I know. But I think eventually, if he gets the right guys in there, they'll buy into a scheme. But you're right; they're as bad as it could possibly be right now.
And let's just talk briefly about that trade: Goff and then Stafford to LA and Goff to Detroit. Who won that trade? Hello, the Rams got a lot better, and Detroit treading water, in my opinion. I take Stafford over Goff any day of the week.
Yeah, I will too. Goff had a nice year in LA with the Rams that one year and then kind of has fizzled since then. I just don't see much success there. But they got some draft picks, and we're talking about rebuilding the team. Detroit's on their way to do something like that. I like Green Bay as well. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is the greatest quarterback to maybe ever play the game. I know he doesn't have the Super Bowl titles to show for it, but the guy, you say 48-5 for God's sakes last year. It's just ridiculous.
48-5, yeah.
Devontae Adams, they got some young receivers on that team too, some tight ends they like as well. And the defense step up and help them stay on top. I think they will, and I like Green Bay as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, 48-5 is crazy. Eye test, you could say Rodgers is the best ever, and he's balling still. I mean, Brady's got all the trophies, but just watching film, who's better than Rodgers?
I can't figure it out. I promise you. The athleticism, the movement in the pocket, movement out of the pocket, arm strength, touch on the ball. He does everything you want him to do as a quarterback in the NFL.
So puzzled by the Vikings guys. I mean, they got Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. You know, are we going to see Kellen Mond here? Is there going to be a sighting?
No. No, you're not. Kellen Mond surprised me at A&M, how well he did the last couple of years. I think I watched his first game at A&M. I thought he looked like a stiff wide receiver trying to play quarterback. I swear to God. Crazy athlete.
Kind of like you running that 15 out on
that's
third
exactly
down
right.
from the slot.
Same exact
By the
thing.
way, you were really good in the slot, man.
No, thank you.
Very good. We needed a first down. We especially that white knight, that corner route in the end zone, in the red zone. You love to run that little fade out there and, you know, throw the ball up over your right shoulder. Go get it with your length. I loved it, man, on goal line when I saw you in the slot.
I appreciate
running a little
it.
Fade route. But
yeah,
anyway,
inside fade. It was fun. Chandler was a great fade thrower. Such a nice touch on the football. Chris Chandler was my first quarterback with the Falcons. Yeah. And then Vic and I had a good combo too. I think that one year I had 6 touchdowns and like 2 or 3 2-point conversions with Vic, and 4 or 5 of those were fade routes for sure.
Yeah. So I'm just baffled about the Vikings. I'm going to keep an eye on Chicago, guys, and I want to see how long Andy Dalton lasts there. I think he's got a short leash. Justin Fields, he's waiting in the wings, and he's looked good this preseason. And hey, man, Matt Nagy, man, I know he's set on Dalton right now as a starter, but if that thing goes south,
to bring in the righty, how many times? How many games? I mean, how bad? If they go 0-2, do they pull the leash? You know what I'm saying? How many games do they give Dalton to make this team?
Not many, because they play. I mean,
he's playing for his job, by the way. Those guys are playing for his job.
And their schedule is the 3rd hardest schedule in the league.
Damn.
So I'm telling you, that's going to be a short lease. Not a lot of patience there, because they're going to have to win early and often if they're even going to be in the talk in December. I mean, even among us having a conversation about the Bears.
And Brian, I'm curious why an offense needs to have Dalton even start a single game here if we know Fields is ready to go. Because, yeah, I get it. You want to have the veteran ease the young guy in, but what is your upside with Dalton here when you have all of this talent ready to be unleashed on the league? The Bears have never had an elite quarterback ever. I mean, Jay Cutler for a few years there. McMahon was good in the 80s, but I mean, Justin Fields is next level here, right? So what are we waiting for?
He looked great at Ohio State. I've seen, you know how many Ohio State quarterbacks have been good in the NFL?
Yeah, you're making a good point.
Zero. So it's the system, the players around them and everything else. I think Justin Fields is different. I think he will be good in the NFL, but I also think it's really hard for a young quarterback to come in and be asked to run a team right away. Matt Ryan did it here in 2008 when I was in my 9th season, and he grew as he progressed. He kept growing and learning and became a better leader throughout it. So it's a tough deal to ask. And the guys we've talked about so far, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, who else can we throw? Brett Favre. Those guys all sat for like, whether it was a half a season or 3 weeks or 3 years, or like some of them did. Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years. And look what he's turned into. So it's an interesting proposition, and I don't envy Matt Nagy's position as far as having to make that decision right now.
All right, let's go south and talk a little bit about the NFC South. There we find the defending Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who pretty much Why are you booing?
Ooh, I hate
Brian?
number one, I'm a Falcon for life. I hate
All right,
Tampa Bay,
fair
and I
enough.
hate
But I
Tom
mean,
Brady.
you got to put your neutral hat on right now.
That's
No,
not happening.
that's not happening.
I'll
Okay.
be reasonable with you, but my Falcon hat is always on.
All right, fair enough. You're on the payroll. I get it. I am not, so I will be as critical as an objective analyst can be. Tampa Bay, they're bringing back. They got one of the easiest schedules. Number one, they're bringing back the whole crew from hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. They have arguably the best player in the history of the game in Tom Brady. He's back. You got Mike Evans. You got Chris Godwin. You got Gronk, Antonio Brown. So scary offense to go along with a really good defense. So Tampa Bay, clearly to me, cream of the crop in that division.
There's no question about it. Matt Ryan, talked to him last year. We do a show on 680 The Fan. Every Monday morning, he'll join us at 8:15 in the morning, talk about the previous day's game. And when he played Tampa Bay, he said it's probably the best defense they played all year. But their linebackers, the way they fly around. When they got Vita Vea back for the postseason run, I think it made a huge difference as well. Big, giant athlete like that in the middle of the defense that can take up two guys and let Levante David and those guys run around and make plays.
Devin White.
I'm telling you.
Best linebacking duo in the league.
The speed, the power, the athleticism they play with is just awesome. So by no stretch of imagination, that is the cream of the crop in the NFC South right now.
Guys, they're my NFC team. I am a New England boy. I followed Brady down south, so I apologize in advance. I love the Bucks to win that conference again. I just think they're completely loaded. It's rare in the free agency era where you can see a team bring back most of the team that just won a Super Bowl. Because you guys know better than me, when teams have success, those tier C, tier D, tier B guys, they get picked off and paid somewhere else. So maybe the top of the roster will remain in place, but it's those second-level guys that help you win a championship. Tampa Bay's got them all coming back, and Bruce Arians is still there. They still have the GOAT. I mean, this might get ugly here in the NFC South. Sorry to my Falcons and Saints legends here.
Well, let's do this. So let's give Brian the floor on the Atlanta Falcons, and then I'll take the Saints. I spent 13 years there. So, Brian, give me a reason why the Atlanta Falcons will be even relevant in this division this year.
So, Atlanta, I think of their 12 losses, I think 8 of them were by one score or less. So, as bad as they were at 4-12, they were in a bunch of football games. The crazy ways they lost last year, I don't even want to talk about it because that was lack of discipline, lack of understanding of the game of football, and lack of want to, in my opinion. It was really one of the worst years I've seen. So, with that said, you go and get Kyle Pitts. You bring Matt Ryan back. Not that he was going anywhere with that contract and the salary cap hit that he has. So Matt Ryan's going to be here for another 2 years minimum. The receiver core scares me a little bit. Calvin Ridley back as a number one with Julio being traded to Tennessee. I think this team can still score 26, 27, 28 points a game. To me, it's all about the defense. What can Dean Pease do with a somewhat inexperienced, younger side of the defensive side of the ball? Grady Jarrett's a stud. We really like A.J. Terrell, who plays cornerback, who we got from Clemson last year. 2 veteran safeties are here, Eric Harris and Nicole Harmon. So I'm counting on Dean Pease to help us win 3 or 4 or 5 games just by scheme and design. And I can't remember who you said it about, Mort, but the beginning of our schedule is pretty easy. Outside of Tampa Bay week 2, we got the Eagles. I don't know if you have in front of you, Tom. Eagles.
30th hardest. It's an easy schedule.
Yes.
Number 30.
Yeah.
Out of 32 teams. So
yeah, and I would say, Brian, as far as notable matchups go, you play the Bucks twice. You got Washington, Dolphins, Cowboys, Pats, Niners, and Bills. Outside of those games, all very winnable games for Atlanta.
Yeah, and a lot of them early in the season. Like the first 6 games, I think outside of Tampa Bay, you got a bunch of teams with young quarterbacks, rebuilding type teams, new head coaches. So I think you got a chance. If you can go 4-2, 5-1 on the first 6, you set yourself up for a wild card type run.
So are the Falcons winning more or fewer than 8 games?
I would say it's a good number, and I hope 9. I'm going over just barely.
Okay. Well, I will attempt to make sense of the Saints now that Drew Brees is gone.
Oh,
This
yes,
could be a bad
thank God.
year, man. This could
Thank
be a
God
bad.
that son of a bitch is out of here.
So, we have a really good defense still.
Mm-hmm.
We lost Trey Hendrickson. That hurts. Michael Thomas is unhappy. That's going to hurt. And Jameis Winston, I think, is going to be the guy. Absolutely. He looks good in preseason. He throws the deep ball. He threw a couple against Jacksonville in preseason. They looked really nice.
I thought he looked awesome last night.
Great, yeah, great catches.
Great
he looked a nice job. And you got Taysom Hill. Well, Taysom Hill is Taysom Hill. He does what he does. Our kicker, Will Lutz, is hurt right now. He pulled his abdominal muscle, so that's uncertain. We got a new punter. So we have a very good returner in Harris. He's outstanding kick returner. But I'm having, and I love Sean Payton and what he does as far as game plans. He does get the most out of his roster. But this is tough, man. They got their schedule. They play the Bucs twice, the Packers, the Pats, the football team, Seahawks, Cowboys, Bills, Dolphins. We still have Alvin Kamara. He's as dynamic as it gets. So this is going to be, a little bit of a transitional year. I'm still hoping that Sean can get it together. I'm hoping for a wild card team. We do play well at home in the Superdome. So I'm going to be like you. I'm going to go 9 optimistically, cautiously optimistic, 9 games for the Saints. I think they split with Atlanta. My opinion.
Yeah, that sounds right. They always play each other very tough in close games.
Let's go. I remember being part of that series, and it was always a field goal game, it seemed.
Yeah, always.
Always coming down, and, it was always fun because I was usually at the end of that thing. It was a lot of fun.
Even last season when the Falcons had a bad year, they played the Saints tough, who were great last season. So that's
the same thing to the Bucs. You're exactly right.
Yeah, that division always plays each other tough. But, okay, so we got positive on the Falcons. We got positive on the Saints.
Cautiously optimistic.
Okay. Okay, so I'll give you my Panthers take. They're going to stink. Look,
Even with their defense, oh my goodness.
I don't feel good about the Panthers. No. Christian McCaffrey's a beast, but hear me out on this.
Okay.
He's only 25, but that whole offense runs through that tiny little guy. And he spent most of last season super injured. He missed basically the whole year, save for a few games. I just want to keep an eye on Christian McCaffrey in Carolina. I think Matt Rule needs to be careful with what he has there because they're going to pound that guy into the ground. They're going to throw it to him constantly. He's going to lead the NFL in targets if he's healthy. So I'm just keeping an eye on Christian McCaffrey. I'm not wishing any ill will. I'm not saying he's going to get hurt, but I just think it's something to be monitored because he's so good and they just need to be careful. Outside of him, I'm not blown away by their talent. Sam Darnold does nothing for me. I don't know why they went out and traded for him when they had a top 10 pick. Like, go get one of those 5-star quarterbacks.
They could have gotten a young dog at a lower salary.
I don't get it.
A young quarterback. I know.
I don't get it. So Panthers to me, worst division.
They tried to watch that film. Yeah, they could be worse in the division. I think they watched enough film in New York and realized he's got the arm strength, he's got the size and mobility. But his team was so bad up there, they just said, I think he can play down here. And I agree with you. I don't think he's the answer. But they saw something in him that they think they can make happen. So we'll see what happens.
Well, let's move on to the NFC West. And, Brian, who do you like? I love the Rams. Big uptick for the Rams, in my opinion, and the Niners. Those are my two absolute lead teams in that division.
Yeah, 49ers and Shanahan are interesting. Will Trey Lance get a chance to get on the field in the first half of the season, or will Garoppolo kind of hold him off and continue to play? Because when Garoppolo's been healthy and in the game, all the guy does is win like 70% of his games.
24-8 as a starter.
Wow.
Jeez.
Is George Kittle the best tight end in the business?
As far as, Travis Kelce's up there. George Kittle might be a close second. I think when you have the ability to run block and pass block and be the dynamic athlete that he is, there's definitely a debate there. There's no question about it. And they're trying to build that defense the right way as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I do like the Rams. I think their defense is going to be one of the best in the league again. Aaron Donald kind of doing that thing. And then to bring Matthew Stafford over is a big uptick from what they were with Jared Goff.
Yeah. And I love Jalen Ramsey, best defensive back in football, probably, in my opinion. Just a stud. I mean, it's fun. Though, when you get players like Jalen Ramsey who can change their game single-handedly by shutting down the opponent's best player, basically, or their best plays, it becomes noticeable. These shutdown corners that we have so few of, like a Deion Sanders and, Deion Sanders comes to me. Exactly. Because you want a shutdown corner, then you got an asset on your football team. So I like the Rams to win that division. I have the Niners second, and I will be keeping an eye as well on that quarterback situations. I really like Raheem Mostert at running back, although we never talk about running backs anymore because, to your point, Brian, everybody's throwing the rock, right?
Yeah.
And running back becomes a receiver, really.
It really does. You think about the best running backs in Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey. Those guys really get the ball out of the backfield, can line up in the slot and do a bunch of different things. You still have some horses, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, players like that as well. But yeah, if you can be that dual threat guy, it goes a long way. The Seattle Seahawks have always been interesting to me, and Russell Wilson is a natural born leader and winner, so you can never count them out of anything, in my opinion.
But they're running the ball up there, and they're basically taking the ball out of his hands.
Yeah, they need to stop doing that. Let Russell Wilson win football games. They were doing it the first half of the year, and then it was like something clicked inside Pete Carroll's head and was like, I want to run the ball now. And they took the ball out of Russell Wilson's hands.
Let me give it to Chris Carden 100 times. and Russell's unhappy. Feed me.
Right.
Feed me.
He is a dynamic football player. DK Metcalf up there with him, and the other receivers they have are solid, so use them.
He ran a dude down. Remember that play where he just
is it Buda Baker?
Everybody was standing. Yeah, everybody was standing still, and Metcalf just came back and snagged the guy and tackled him. It was on an INT situation. Ooh.
It was amazing, and he didn't even take an angle too. He just straight sprinted him down. It was incredible. It might have been the most impressive play of the season last year.
What about Arizona and Murray and that whole? I don't know what I'm getting down there.
I'm not sold. I'm not sold on that team. I think they have a chance to do something. They've added some nice pieces and done some good things. And DeAndre Hopkins and I think AJ Green's down there now. You also lost J.J. Watt, who was a stalwart, right? Oh no, that was Houston. I'm sorry. You got J.J. Watt, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So you had that guy. I am not sold on Kyler Murray. He's just not my type of quarterback. And until he can show me he can do what you're supposed to do as an NFL quarterback, I have a tough time believing in that team as far as winning the division.
He's running around. It always seems like he's scrambling.
Yes.
He reminds me of Mahomes in the Super Bowl, who scrambled for 600 yards against the Tampa Bay Bucks. 600 scrambling yards. I don't know if you knew that.
Is that a fact?
Behind the line of scrimmage.
Behind the line of scrimmage.
Holy shit.
So Kyler Murray, when he's running around back there, he looked like Mahomes in the Super Bowl against the Bucks to me.
And listen, when you're small like that and undersized, sometimes you have to move that much to get a lane and a window. It's amazing Drew Brees is able to do the stuff he's able to do.
That's why Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer. He knew where to throw the ball in the lanes between defenders. Yeah, you're right. And he was 6 feet. Kyler Murray's not 6 feet, is he?
No, he's not.
No, he might list himself at 6 feet, but there's no way. But, okay, so let's get it on the record here because we all like the Rams and the Niners. I'm making you guys pick one. Niners or Rams to win the division. Morten, the floor is yours.
Rams because of their defense and because of Stafford. Very simple. And their coach, very, very good. McVay's unbelievable. Great head coach. Great play caller. As is Shanahan, but Rams.
Shanahan's a special coordinator and coach, but it pains me because of what he did to us in the Super Bowl back in 2016 to even pick him to do anything. So,
what did he do? Can you can't remember?
Yeah, he didn't. Did. Oh, watch out, Mort. If I could slap you from this process. Anyway, he didn't run the ball and they were up big in the Super Bowl, so that's what they did. I'm going to go with the Rams as well. Defense, add in Matthew Stafford. Their running back situation is getting a little hairy because they've had some injuries during training camp. So if those guys can get healthy and ready for week 1, I like the Rams.
I like the Rams as well. I think the Niners are good enough to make the postseason as one of the wild card spots. And I'm picking Seattle to be the worst team in the division, guys. I'm out on Seattle. I think that they take the big downturn. I'm sorry.
Arizona to me. Arizona.
Done with Seattle.
Wow.
Dude, Seattle went 12-4 last year.
Done with Seattle.
Wow.
Mark it down.
Their defense, because of their defense or lack of defense.
Yep, lack of defense and handing the ball to Chris Carson and taking the ball out of Russell Wilson's hands. It's not being managed correctly. They either need a new coach or he needs to go play somewhere else.
All right, boys. That is the AFC. Who comes out of the AFC as the conference champion? Brian?
So
NFC champion?
AFC. And we just did the AFC, did we not?
No, we just did the NFC.
Oh, my bad.
Come on, Mort. Who comes out as a champion?
Yeah, NFC champion. My bad.
For me, once again, I think the matchup. Maybe I'd go Rams or Tampa Bay, and I would lean towards the Rams just because I don't want Tampa Bay to be there ever again. So that's where my bias comes in and my hatred, and I can't take the hat off. But there you go. I'll take the Rams.
I'm going Bucks. Got to stick with my guy Brady.
I don't blame you.
I am going to go Green Bay.
Okay.
Dude, they've been in it every single year, it seems like, so why the hell not?
I'm going Green Bay. It's really hard to win at Lambeau. They're going to have home field advantage, I have a feeling. And, so I'm going to go Green Bay. And we got 3 different teams, so that's fun. NFC, guys, of course, NFC.
Yes.
That was my bad earlier. I was fully aware of that, but I was already on to the AFC. I was holding my notes on the AFC, which is next.
He had the other piece of paper.
See what I did there? See my segue.
He was
buying what I'm selling.
He was Ron Burgundying the situation. He was just reading the prompter.
Stay classy.
San Diego.
All right, let's start with the AFC East, Brian. Your take on the Bills, the Dolphins, the Pats, the Jets. I mentioned the Jets last for a reason. But
that's fine. You're probably right in doing that. It's a 2-14 football team from last year with a young quarterback in Zach Wilson out of BYU. I heard Aaron Rodgers talk about Zach Wilson during the preseason last week, and he was raving about the kid. I still guys have some growing pains for sure in a team like New York with the Jets, so they'll probably come in last. I am not sold on Tua Tagovailoa yet. I just haven't seen enough. I know it's only been a season, but again, I haven't. If you can't tell, I got a real problem with short quarterbacks. Apparently, I like my quarterbacks to be 6'4", 6'3", 6'5", can see over the line of scrimmage and deliver that rock down.
Vic was only 6 feet.
Okay, well. I was a big fan of Vic's, by the way. We played together for, almost 6 years. Yeah. And I was able to be one of his leading receivers for a couple of those years. So lucky to play for Mike.
Hard to wake up in that locker when he was sleeping. Very hard to wake up. It was right next to mine.
It's hard to be a great receiver when you run the ball and you lead the league in rushing 2 of the 3 years. So
no doubt.
It's there's a lot of things there, but you also got to make some Sports Center type catches when you play with a guy like Michael Vick. There's no question about that. And he was a true competitor. He's gone on record, and not to get too into it, but he's the one that said if he worked harder or studied more, we all saw it. We would have been a better football team, and he would have been a better football player. I think the Dolphins come in third. I think the Patriots are going to be much better than they were last year. Cam and Mac Jones will fight for that spot. I think if Cam will get the start, if he struggles at all, I don't think Belichick has any problem pulling the plug on him and let Mac Jones get going. They got back like 6 or 8 guys from COVID list last year that are good football players, veterans. They added $250 million in free agency in players, which they haven't done. They haven't spent $250 million in the last 10 years in free agents. It was amazing what they did, and the defense should be legit. So I got them in second, and then the Buffalo Bills I think are the talk of the town in up there in Buffalo, New York.
I agree with you. The Bills, you got a quarterback who just got paid $288 million over 6 years, $150 million guaranteed. Does that pacify you as a quarterback, or does that motivate you to be even better? I hope it motivates him. I think it will. Josh Allen, unbelievable, one of the best players at that position last season. And he got paid like an all-pro, which he should. He has Stephon Diggs, great player. Sean McDermott is in his 5th season. It's time for them to go deep in the playoffs, I think. I agree with you, Brian. They're the talk of the AFC and the AFC East. Not high on the Dolphins, although they do have a couple of good cornerbacks in Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. But I agree with you on Tua. I know he's reunited with Jalen Waddle, his college teammate, who's a studded wideout, but yeah.
Yeah, we saw him last night. They played the Falcons. They used him in a lot of different ways. They did some good routes. He had a handful of catches, and they also gave him the ball in the backfield on some God, what the heck is it called when they sprint across the back? I can't
around.
End arounds, reverses, and there's another thing where you kind of do it right as he's motioning across. You just
like one of those just like dump off passes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, Jalen Waddle's a beast. Look, everyone that listens to this podcast knows I'm a huge Patriots fan, but
no.
Yeah. Fun fact, right? I love the Pats.
So
I am not all that high on them, and maybe it's just because I'm scorned from the cloud of dust Brady has continued to leave us in here, and maybe it's because I watched an entire season of Cam Newton just throw up garbage all year, and the fact that he's still on the roster is mind-boggling to me. The guy cannot throw the football. You have to be able to throw a football to play quarterback in the NFL. Fun fact for you guys. He can't do it anymore. He can't do it. Mac Jones looks pretty good this preseason, but we're going to play around with this stupidity of trying to give Cam a chance because that's how Belichick rolls. And I know Belichick doesn't give an F normally, but it feels like he's going to let Cam have this job until he loses it. I hope it's in the first half of the first game because we're not going to win football games with this guy as our quarterback this season. And they spend all this money in free agency. Guys, I wasn't really blown away with the dudes that they brought on. They set a record for guaranteed money. The exact number here
$159.6 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane.
Gracious.
But then you look at the guys they brought in. Okay, they get 2 nice tight ends, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. Both of those guys have struggled to stay on the field with health concerns. And if you have Cam Newton playing quarterback, who cares how good your tight ends are? Then you have Matthew Judon, nice player, but we're not talking about Lawrence Taylor here. And you get Jalen Mills. There's a reason why that guy's available. He's not an elite cornerback. So when you really put the microscope on what the Pats did this offseason and you take scope of everything that's happened post Brady, it's hard to feel super confident, especially knowing that they have, the Bills twice, the Dolphins twice. They got to play the Bucs. They got the Chargers, the Cowboys. I mean, guys, maybe I'm sky is falling.
You are a little bit.
Classic masshole guy, but I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out.
Go ahead. They'll be better than I think they'll be better than your attitude.
I hope so.
I don't like your attitude right now.
I hope so, Brian.
It's very negative, and we don't want to be receiving it. And think about this, though, Tom. You always have the consolation that you're in the same division as the Jets, Jets. The most positive thing that I can say about the New York Football Jets is that Adam Gase is gone and Robert Saleh is in. That is the most important move that the Jets made, because Adam Gase was a horrible, horrible head coach.
I could not believe what I was watching when he did press conferences, and his whole demeanor, his whole look, his whole eyeballs going crazy in the first one.
So bad.
It was so bad. Salah is a guy that came as a defense coordinator from San Francisco. Got a lot of guys like his attitude and his demeanor and everything he's capable of. So we'll see what happens, and you just hope the young kid in Zach Wilson can make something happen.
Can you imagine, Brian, playing for a guy like Adam Gase? We kind of did in 2007 with
yes, we did
with Patino.
Yeah,
it was a complete a-hole.
Bobby Petrino.
Whatever.
Not Rick Pitino.
I like to forget his name too.
P. Let's call him P. What a douche.
I'll never forget. I was talking to Morten Andersen in the locker room. I was on injured reserve at the time. My right knee had exploded, and had to do.
I just come in. I was like, "What is this? A morgue?"
He said, "I've never seen a locker room like this in my entire life. Everybody's walking around on eggshells. Nobody's having fun. Nobody's doing anything you're supposed to be doing in an NFL locker room." And that was very telling. Having a guy that had just finished up his 22nd or 23rd year in the NFL.
25, 24, 24.
That was the last one? Was that your last one?
25 was my last.
Yeah. So it was a bad situation.
It was striking, the difference in that locker room from when Jim Mora Jr. was there just a year earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the fact that Petrino would never come into the locker room or talk to the players, and you had to make an appointment to go see him.
The whole thing was so ass backwards. It was such a douchebag. You couldn't have a conversation with him like a real man-to-man. Like, it was super uncomfortable. It was very awkward. And maybe that's not his fault. Maybe he just – but
he's socially inept. Inept.
That's right.
He really is. And he showed his hand when he took off in the middle of the night and left a form letter for all the players to whom it may concern. I still have that.
Do you have it?
I should post that on social. I have that letter.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
He stuck it on each player's locker, and he was gone to Arkansas. And who's next day he had lied. He had lied to Arthur Blank straight to his face, saying, "I'm your guy," and then he's gone. So anyway, we're giving this guy way too much airtime. Feel free to edit this out, Tom.
No, I'm leaving this in. This is all great because, as a football fan, you could tell it was weird, and then the exit was strange. But to hear you guys talk about it, it's
so Adam Gase is like the reincarnation of Bobby Petrino. Congratulations, you two a-holes.
Jeez.
All right, so we got Bills across the board, and I'm saying the Jets are going to be the worst in the division. I think you guys are right there with me.
Yes.
AFC East in the books.
I got the Patriots as a close second, though. Don't be surprised if they squeak into the postseason as well.
Please. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Brian is right. Please.
All right.
Bills win the division.
Mm-hmm.
Jets are mopping up the back end of that division once again.
AFC North, though. Another division here that I think is super competitive. I think all four of these teams could be in the mix for the playoffs. Maybe not next year because I think the Bengals are just a little bit away here, but that offense is special. I think maybe a year from now, we could be talking about them being in the mix as well. I love the AFC North heading into next season.
Best division in football, maybe.
I think so.
I agree.
Yeah.
Across the board. Really good.
NFC West has a chance to be one of the best divisions as well, but AFC North, every single year, you almost hope that as an NFC team, they don't fall on your schedule. You really don't, because to play in Pittsburgh or go to Baltimore or have to deal with Cincinnati, who can surprise you, it all is a little bit nerve-wracking. And all those teams consistently put out a pretty good product and play a different style of football than a lot of other teams in the NFL.
Who do you think is going to be the best in that division, Morten?
Cleveland. I've just seen a gradual improvement on that football team. Kevin Stefanski was excellent in his first season. I just like what the Browns have overall. They got two great running backs, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. You can say what you want about Odell Beckham Jr., but he's coming back from injury, and when he's healthy, he's a beast. He balls. And then you're adding a pass rush now with Jadeveon Clowney to the other side of Myles Garrett. That is scary, man.
Terrifying.
I mean, that is and your quarterback has more confidence, right? Confidence. He's Baker is finally, it's his football team. He knows how to win. I don't think he's turned the ball over like he did his first year. He seems more comfortable. So I like the Browns with the Steelers at a close second. And yeah, that's my two teams in that. Baltimore is, they do win. They do win.
Yep.
But
Their defense is.
I have them third after Pittsburgh, and then I have Cincinnati last.
I'll take. I really do like Baltimore. I think their defense is absolutely loaded. Patrick Queen is a monster there in the middle. Special linebacker. J.K. Dobbins is their special running back as well. Lamar Jackson, for whatever reason, he doesn't jump off the board with me as a great passing quarterback. But you go look at his numbers, dude. He is really, really good. And the fact that he's that dual threat and can do some stuff in the run game too makes him dangerous. They can find some guys on the outside to help them do some nice things. I think Baltimore's a team to be reckoned with. I think Cleveland is feeling themselves, and I think in a good way. I think that defense is legit. I think Baker Mayfield has matured tenfold. It's hard for me to pick them to win it all and win in their division, but it's between Cleveland and Baltimore for me. And if I had to give a nod, I'd probably go John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens to win that division.
It scares me that because of Lamar Jackson's ability to be a dual threat, it just scares me that it's such a big part of your offense is depending on one player. And if this dude gets hurt, there goes the Titanic.
How many teams can you say that about? And that would be the opposite. The only teams you're thinking about are the ones that just drafted big-time quarterbacks. Mac Jones in New England, San Francisco, and Trey Lance can pop in there and do something. So there's not that many teams in the NFL, if they lose their starting quarterback, are going to be very good.
Mahomes. It's a good point. Tom, who do you like?
Yeah, so I like Cleveland for everything that you guys have been talking about. I really like their roster. I think Stefanski was really smart with the way he ran that offense last season, kind of taking the ball out of Baker's hands and letting those running backs do work. And then by the time the season rolled along and the Browns were rolling, he started to integrate Baker more and more into the offense and let him start throwing that thing around. And then it was a beautiful thing by the end of the year to watch that offense go. And I like their confidence heading into this year. That defense is great. So I like Cleveland in that division. I know it's weird to say, but here we are. Cleveland Browns are a good team in 2021. I like the Ravens because they're good every year, but like Morten was talking about, if Lamar Jackson gets hurt, it is like every other team where it would be a disaster. But I feel like, especially with the Ravens, you can't just go out and get a guy to run that offense and to change everything that they're doing to curtail to, a guy that can't be Lamar Jackson. It would be hard to overcome. They're kind of one-dimensional. I know he passes well, but they don't pass that much. So to be that one-dimensional, I think guys can figure out how to deal with the Ravens. So I like them to make the playoffs, but I think they're just a tick behind the Browns. I think the Steelers take a big step back. Big Ben, I'm surprised he didn't retire. Honestly,
old Ben.
Old Big Ben, Big Ben Parliament. So the one thing I do like about Pittsburgh is it sounds like they're going to recommit to the run game, which is that's when they're really good, when Ben can do his thing. And then Najee Harris, the draft pick they got out of Alabama, I think is going to be a stud too. So that's a tough division, man.
I do think we should just briefly, and I know we haven't even mentioned the Bengals, but we should give props to Joe Burrow. I mean, that's a legit NFL quarterback who's just going to get better and will be one of the elite quarterbacks, I say, within the next 5 years.
Yeah, after, to tear his ACL and bounce back like he has, he's going to be ready to go, I think, week 1, which is crazy to me because it hasn't been 10 months, I don't think.
No, he's quick. And he's going to have to play if the Bengals want to be any good.
Impressed us, showed some accuracy, leadership qualities for a young quarterback, and like you talked about, did some really nice things last year before he got hurt.
And I think if there's going to be one player that doesn't one non-quarterback to win AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year, it would be Jamar Chase, because those dudes had a special connection at LSU. He's a stud, number 5 overall pick. I like Jamar Chase to be a big factor in that offense right away.
People talking about the three-headed monster of Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, and they think they can do something special with Joe Burrow. So that'll be one to keep an eye on as well.
Weakest division in the AFC to me is the AFC South, with one team that is heads and shoulders above everybody else. That's the Tennessee Titans to me. They have one of the most explosive players in the league, Derrick Henry. They just added Julio Jones from the Atlanta Falcons. So to me, Tennessee Titans, much better than the Colts, much better than the Houston Texans, and certainly much better than Jacksonville Jaguars. So I like the Tennessee Titans in the AFC South, and I think the Houston Texans are just absolutely horrid.
This is going to be a two-team race, and it may not even be that, but it's Indianapolis and it's Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville's rebuilding with Trevor Lawrence, which will be fun to watch, but and Urban Meyer, thank God they cut Tim Tebow because that thing wasn't working out very well. Did you see him in his preseason games? Tim Tebow?
He got nailed on he came in motion and got absolutely depleted. That's the play I saw.
Looked like a rag doll.
I was like, wow.
Good for him for trying, but that experiment was a failure. So the Jaguars are working their way back. The Houston Texans, like you said, an absolute shit show down there with what's going on with Deshaun Watson. The guys they've traded away you talk about in the last 2 years, Hopkins and J.J. Watt. Are you kidding me? Amongst others. And then the Colts, I think Carson Wentz had foot surgery 4 weeks ago. He's back practicing as of yesterday, and he's got 3 more weeks to get ready to go for a season. So
he'll get hurt again, though.
The problem is, history says yes, but who knows? If he can stay healthy with that offensive line, some of the weapons they have, and a really solid defense, I think they can give the Tennessee Titans.
He doesn't make the whole season.
Listen, if you're a bet man, of course not. There's no way.
Well, we are,
Yeah, we do bet a little bit. Why not? So Tennessee, I think, will win a division.
Yeah, I like Tennessee to win the division too, but I do like the Colts roster. It's just the Wentz injury is wigging me out. Like before the foot thing happened, I thought the Colts were actually going to win that division. Super complete team. And Frank Reich knows Carson Wentz. They worked well in the past together. So, come home, Carson. I'll help you save your career here. We won't get you into trouble. We're not going to make you do too much. We got good receivers for you. We have an awesome backfield, best offensive line in the NFL. And then the foot injury happens, and he's already out there on the practice field. Why? Take some time here. Get your body right. And, yeah, it's going to hurt you in the early part of the season. But, dude, if you push it, you're a dude that's been injured your entire career, basically. So I feel like it's risky here to be out there on the practice field already. But, if the training staff's letting him do it, then by all means. It just the injury with Wentz is wigging me out with the Colts. And so I'm leaning Titans for that reason. And Derrick Henry's a beast.
And it's going to be weird. We talked about Montana going to Kansas City, and we talked about Emmitt Smith going to Arizona. It'll be weird for us Falcon fans watching Julio Jones run around in, I guess, number 8 jersey, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, now you can have any jersey you want.
Right, exactly.
Usually be a kicker number right there, number 8.
That's right. So we'll see what he does there in Tennessee, but it'll be a little strange. But they got a loaded roster, and they got a good chance to repeat.
Texans are going to stink.
Yes, that's a fact, Jack.
For many, many reasons.
Awful. Yeah. All right, AFC West, though. I mean, I think we all kind of know where we're going here, right? Kansas City. Let's go.
Yeah.
Lights out. Lights out. Brought a bunch of guys back. Best maybe by the time Patrick Mahomes is done playing football, I may change my mind about Aaron Rodgers, but he's another one of those top 5 elite quarterbacks you can talk about, and a bunch of weapons at his disposal too. Nicole Harmon from Georgia is coming to his own as a speedster. Obviously, the little guy, Tyreek Hill, who's an absolute monster, can do so many things.
So fun. So fun to watch.
And then Trevor Kelsey as well. All those guys. And if they can add to their defense and continue to get better there, they are just as good as it gets.
Mahomes 44-10 in his career, regular season, postseason.
That's overall record?
44-10.
It's amazing.
That's all you need to know.
Amazing.
He doesn't lose.
Drop the mic.
And the only time he lost was in that freaking Super Bowl.
Well, I mean,
his offensive line was so beat up.
He's a D Ford offside penalty away from the Chiefs being in 3 straight Super Bowls.
So glad you brought that up because that made me sick when it happened. He has no reason he lines up offsides. It's the dumbest play in football. if you line up offsides. And he does it in was it AFC title game?
It sure was.
It's the Patriots of all people. I don't know if you guys tipped the pass or what happened. It gets intercepted, and the game is officially over, except it's not because dumbass D Ford wants to put his hand over the line of scrimmage, which you learn when you're 10 years old. Stay on your side of the ball, man. It's unreal.
And you know the Chiefs are destroying that Rams team in the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh,
the Pats crawled their way to that victory. The Chiefs were on fire that year. So look, I'm an AFC guy, but I can't deny the Chiefs. They're just so freaking good. And look, they fixed the offensive line. They got Joe Tooney in there for what, $80 million over 5 years. Kyle Long coming out of retirement. So I mean, they saw the problem and they went ahead and they addressed it. And
so you're going against what Willie Lanier told you, Freeze, at the Hall of Fame, that the Chiefs are going to be mediocre at best. You're going against the Gold Jacket.
I am.
Who played for the Chiefs.
Yeah, Brian. So I'll clue you on this quick. So I was waiting for Morten. He was up in his hotel room, getting ready for wherever we were going.
Primping.
Yeah. And I'm sitting in the lobby, and Willie Lanier's sitting across from me, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll make some small talk because we're just sitting here. So I'm like, oh, Willie, your Chiefs, man, they're looking good. And the next 45 minutes was a lecture as to why the Chiefs will not be good this upcoming season and why it was an asinine statement to bring up.
Could you even buy into what he was saying, or you just sit there and listen to him?
By the end of the conversation, if I ignored everything I knew about Kansas City, I would tell you that they're going to be the worst team in the NFL. But
what a maniac.
I can't ignore what I've seen Patrick Mahomes do every game of his professional career here when he has been on the field. His main point was they play backyard football, and he's an old school guy. And he looked at the Super Bowl and he said, okay, you played backyard football. You go into halftime, you make no adjustments. You come out into the next half and you get your socks blown off. They were heavy favorites in every game last season, and they didn't cover, which, in the gambling world, we all recognize that, but that's not something players think about. But it's a good way to keep in context that everyone thought the Chiefs were going to blow everyone away, but they were just squeaking by here and there and making it happen because Mahomes is just so talented. So I think that's kind of where Willie's thought process was. He thinks basically they're a little too big for their britches, I think. But I just think talent wins out. I mean, they're just so good. Yeah. So Willie Lanier, legend. I respect you, but
much love, Willie. But we're not
rein it in a little bit here.
So do we like any of the other teams in this division? You got the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Are they just
Go ahead, Tom.
I like the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert's good. I think that they have the biggest turnaround this season. They were 7-9 last year. Anthony Lynn was a bad coach, and Herbert, with just being thrown out there after Tyrod Taylor got stabbed in the ribs by his training staff with that huge needle, becomes the starter and is awesome. So now he has a whole offseason as the CEO. He's got great receivers. They have Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, Derwin James. I mean, I like the Chargers to take a turn in the other direction. They have the 17th hardest schedule in the league. That's very winnable to me. So I like the Chargers to be a wild card team in this division, but Broncos and Raiders are both not. Is it
even possible, guys, to win in Las Vegas? Imagine that's your hometown is Las Vegas, and your stadium is right next to the Strip.
Right, the black hole. That stadium looks awesome, by the way, Allegiant Stadium. Listen, I grew up in Southern California. I was 20 minutes from the beach. I go back to visit every summer usually, and I go back there and we rent a place down in Newport Harbor, down by the beach, a couple blocks off the water, Pacific Ocean. And when I tell you, a lot of my buddies, the only time they go to the beach that live 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes from the beach, they go when I come and rent the house on the beach. They don't enjoy what's there. So my point is, when you're in Vegas and you're living there, it becomes, you kind of numb to it maybe, and you don't go like a visitor or a tourist would go and enjoy the scenes. So But
you're not throwing down $1,000 chips at Caesars.
No, I'm not going to Spearmint
on your
Rhino
day off.
doing that. No, you're exactly right.
Does Morten Andersen have that type of discipline, though? If he played in Vegas, would Morten Andersen have been able to focus?
But Freeze, I was in New Orleans for 13 years. Come on, Bourbon Street, the French Quarter. I mean, I loved night games because I got a little extra rest.
Let's be honest. He was a kicker, so it's not like he had a whole lot going on throughout the course of the week. Jesus. Who are we kidding here?
A kicker with a gold jacket.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
snap.
I see a bust behind your head there.
Wait, what is that? What is that thing?
Oh,
hey,
my God.
Speaking of kicker, this is the All Madden trophy, by the way. I'm the only kicker besides Pat Summerall who ever got an All Madden trophy from John Madden. So
that's awesome.
And the reason he put me on the All Madden team was because I spoke a foreign language. But that's another story to be told.
Counts.
Hilarious.
Hey, so I think we can all agree that Vegas is going to be the worst team in that division. I think that we, across the board, have the Chiefs. I do want to mention the Broncos,
I think the Vegas Raiders are better than the Broncos.
Okay, interesting. I'll go ahead on that because I'm curious.
Because the Denver Broncos is a complete debacle at quarterback, and you gotta have somebody. I don't know. Derek Carr is not the Superman.
Derek Carr is a good quarterback. He's not the answer.
Good, but he's a good
quarterback.
No. But I think he's better than what Denver has to offer, and I don't know who Denver is going to go with.
Yeah, no,
Waller,
you're right.
I think Waller in Vegas is a nice player. Over 100 catches last year, I think, as a tight end / receiver. Yeah. I have questions, too, about Denver. I haven't looked at their roster and schedule enough to know any better, Tom, but that's a team I'm not that excited about either.
So I think that you guys are dead on saying that Denver won't be a playoff team. I think they're going to be better than Vegas because they have the 27th hardest schedule in the league.
Yeah, and Vegas is 8th hardest. You're right.
And Vegas has a tough schedule ahead, and they didn't really update their roster this offseason. They went out and got Kenyon Drake for $11 million. They don't need Kenyon Drake. They needed to upgrade the defense. They didn't do that. They just did lots of Raiders things this offseason. The Raiders go for flash. That's the Al Davis way, right?
Listen to this schedule that the Raiders have to face. Chargers twice, Chiefs twice, Ravens, Steelers, Dolphins, Bengals, Cowboys, Washington football team, Browns, and Colts. Oh, wow. Yeah. That is a tough road.
They got their hands
difficult,
full.
Man. And I think the Broncos, outside of the quarterback spot, have one of the most talented rosters in the league. I mean, with Von Miller healthy and Bradley Chubb on the other side, dominant pass rush.
Very much like Cleveland. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Justin Simmons is extremely good at safety. Patrick Surtain's going to be good. That's my take on the Broncos. But I think Morten wants us to
I am just holding in my hand the AFC breakdown on all the divisions. We've talked about it. Now I need your conference champion. AFC. Brian, go ahead.
All right, conference champion for me. Until they get dethroned, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. It just so much talent. I don't think a lot's changed on their roster. They tried to improve their offensive line, which really hurt them last year, and I'm going to stick with them. It seems like an easy, kind of lazy pick, but that's where I'm going.
Yeah, but it's the smart pick, right? Like, don't try and reinvent the wheel here. Patrick Mahomes is 44-10 as a starter in the NFL. He's 25 years old. Come on. It's got to be Kansas City at this point.
It is the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, wow. I like where your head's at.
It's the Buffalo Bills this year, guys. I know everybody's hot and heavy on the Chiefs for good reason, but I like the grit of Buffalo. It's their time, and they may win the Super Bowl.
Wow. I love it. How happy would we all be for Buffalo, New York, to finally get that Lombardi?
I got so many buds up there who, Four Falls for Buffalo. You saw the movie, you saw the documentary.
It's one of the few teams that would not upset me at all if they found a way to win it.
And
likable quarterback, likable team, really good defense, coaches. I played against McDermott. He was at William and Mary when I was at Villanova. Really, really hard-nosed, hard-hitting safety that played for them. You tried to avoid that white boy at all costs when you were playing against him. back in 1AA.
And they got so many legendary players: Jim Kelly, Bruce Smith, Andre Reed, Steve Tasker, Thurman Thomas, Daryl Talley, and you just want these guys, Scott Norwood. You just want these guys to have that feeling of, because how do you lose 4? I mean, it's just trying to wrap my head around still. How do you lose? How do you go to 4 Super Bowls in a row, let alone lose all 4 of them in a plethora of different ways, a myriad of ways?
It rarely works out this way because we've pretty much got a bunch of teams going back to where they were last year, and the Bills and the Chiefs and Tampa Bay and Green Bay, pretty much for the most part. Were weird. I think I said the Rams, but it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out this year. I can't wait for football season to get going.
So Super Bowl, I'm going to go Green Bay, Buffalo. All right. And I'm going to go Buffalo as the winner. 2 cold weather teams.
Gritty towns.
Usually with home field advantage. We'll have home field in the snow. Let's go. And then let's go. That'd be a great Super Bowl.
The game's being played in Los Angeles, Morten. But yes, I understand.
I'm talking about the AFC and NFC championship games being played in Buffalo and being played in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were predicting a blizzard in LA for the first time ever.
There will be a blizzard of confetti raining down on the Buffalo Bills.
I love it.
Who do you have, boys? Who do you have?
I can buy into yours, Mort, in a big way, but I'm going to stick with Kansas City. And I think I'll throw the Rams in there and see if they can't play in their own stadium or out in where are they playing, in LA?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
in
that giant new SoFi Stadium. I'll do that. See if the Rams can show up and not just score 3 points this time.
I gotta go with my man TB12. That's my guy.
Of course,
that's my guy.
Jesus,
come on! And now that I met him, Morten, I mean, I'm. If I wasn't in before, it's like my best friend at this point.
He becomes my only problem with Tom Brady. The more you know about him, the more likable he becomes. Right?
He is a good dude, man.
Totally.
It is. It's hard not to like that guy when you meet him first time. It's like you know when he talks to you, like you're the only dude in the room.
That's awesome.
I was ready to be disappointed, and he did not disappoint. He was a rock star, man.
Yeah, not unlike you, Morten. So
you understand, buddy. It's you got to be flashy when you're a kicker, man. What can I say?
Yeah, that's right.
Nobody else will give you the flash,
especially me.
Brian, thanks for joining us. Tom, thanks for your input as well. I hope we brought some knowledge out there, some information to our listeners on the league, on the NFL. It's always fun to follow. I'm excited for football. Let's face it. There's nothing better than Sunday afternoon, Thursday night, Monday night, whatever night. Give me football Monday through Sunday. I don't care.
Yeah, the only problem for me, Mort, is Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night football. I got to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to get to my radio show. So those ones aren't great.
You need to have an assistant that gives you cliff notes that's ready to roll when you land on that desk. There's a little synopsis of the game, talking points.
That's right.
Come on, man. Let's
go. Listen, we have it, but I have a tough time faking it. That's what she said. And you have to go and watch the games to really talk about it for me. Because I have a tough time on the radio at 680 doing those type of things unless I really watch and see it. Sometimes you can read and learn about it and everything else. But it's good.
Invest and buy into it.
That's right.
Don't forget to go and check out Brian Finneran along with his guys. Great team down there at 680 The Fan. And make sure that where do they find you if they want to stream that?
680thefan.com. And then if you want to check me out on social media, at bfin86 on Instagram and Twitter, as my dog has had enough of me talking and wants me to take him outside.
And with that, we'll let you go. Brian, thanks for spending some time with us on Great Day Nation. Love you, man, and I'll see you soon.
Love you, brother. Enjoy meeting you, Tom. You guys have a good one.